So, you want to build a barn dominium? Me too. Let's talk about it. So this step of do you want to build a barn dominium, I'm going to call the evaluation stage, because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of times in my life that I have bought the cart before the horse, if you know what I mean. That was the first thing that we had to do. Casey and I sat down and asked ourselves some questions. I actually pulled up the document that I thought about a long time ago when we were listing out these questions. And the first question, it may seem obvious, but some people don't think about it. Can you even afford to do this? For us, this dream wasn't really even a reality until the fact that my dad gave us land. We weren't going to be able to build our house like that. That was just out of the question. So the first thing, can you afford this? Do you have the means to do this? Because the last thing that anybody wants to do is get into a house build and realize that they are out of money and they've got a half-built house, and now you have to give it back to the bank and you lost all your money that you had in the first place. Can you even afford this? If you can't, save some money. It's not to say give up on the dream, stop what you're doing. It just means save some money. The first question is, do you got the cash? Do you have the money? Can you afford to make this happen? Now, the second question is another question that we have to answer, because Casey and I both grew up in the middle of Oklahoma City. We didn't grow up in the country. We didn't grow up even mildly in a semi-rural area. We were very suburbanized people. I grew up going out to the ranch quite a bit, but going out there for a day or two is way different than living out there full time. The rural life comes with its own set of challenges. You're not necessarily close to anything. Our land's great because we are about 15 minutes away from the nearest town that has most anything that we would ever need. And we're maybe 30 minutes away from Oklahoma City itself. So we're not far from family. We're not far from a lot of our old friends. We're not going to have to change churches. We're going to be able to go to the same church. But living out there, we had to ask ourselves the question, are we okay with living a little bit further away from everything? We're living out there on a functioning cattle ranch. We are living out there where we have fences to take care of. We have all kinds of stuff. We're living out there where life is just different than what we grew up with. And that was a question that honestly Casey struggled with for a long time. Like, she didn't really know if that's something that she wanted. But the more time went on and the more that she thought about it, I was sold day one. But I also don't think things through quite as much as she does. But that was something that she wrestled with. Is this something that I really want? Is this something that I really want to do? And at first she was like, why would I ever want to move to the farm? But as time went on and as she thought about it more and more, it became a question that was answered. Why would I not want to go move out to the farm? This is our forever home. If this is a lifestyle that we're not going to like and we build this house, well, we're kind of stuck. So this is something that you also need to evaluate. Is this the lifestyle that you really want? And this question might not be for every single person. You might be able to build a barn dominium right in the middle of a city. I mean, that's kind of the beauty. If you got the land, build it wherever you want. But wherever it is, make sure that the lifestyle that you're getting into is something that you want. In our case, it's kind of a homesteader lifestyle, but to each his own. The next question is also very important. How are you wanting to build this house? Are you going to hire a contractor? Are you going to hire a company that builds these metal buildings? Are you going to do it all yourself? Are you going to be the general contractor yourself? In our case, that's kind of my circumstance. I'm going to be the general contractor and I'm going to end up doing quite a bit of the work on my own. So it's kind of a mixture between DIY and self-contract. But that's a question that you need to answer at the beginning, because if you're using a contractor that you're paying to look over all of these things, then it's going to cost different amounts of money for each different circumstance. In our case, we know some general contractors, and they also said to us we would do this, but most of these general contractors, they'll take the cost of everything and then they'll tack on 15% of the material cost to basically be their fee, their cost for building the house. And that was one of those things that if we were building a $200,000 house, that's 30 grand right there on top of that. I couldn't stomach doing that. And I know I have the ability My thing's going to be time management. I'm confident that we can make it happen, and I'm confident that we can make it work. And at the end of the day, it comes back to two elements. How much time do you have? How much money do you got? Because the answers to those two questions can determine what kind of building situation you're going to be in, whether it's contractor, doing it yourself, hiring somebody else, getting a company to do all of it for you. All of that comes down to the answer to those two questions. Who's going to design your house? In our case, Casey and I, we designed our whole house. Houses is probably what I should say. I think by the end of all of this, I designed 5 houses. But that was just because we were also in a process with the metal building supplier, asking them what kind of size house we could get, how much it was going to cost, and also fitting that all into the budget at the same time to figure out what kind of house we could afford. We ended up settling on a 40 by 60 shell. We put some porches and some patio stuff that's attached to that house that I'm going to show you guys in another video. That was kind of the process that we had to go through. If you don't have a metal building builder to kind of determine sizing, we've got one, and I'll put a link to his website down in the description if you're in the Oklahoma area looking to build a metal barndominium. But once we got the actual shell size, then you get into designing the interior of the house. You get into designing where the windows go, where the doors go, how many bedrooms, where are the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the laundry room, the closets. So the question there is that something that you have the capability to do, the time to do, the energy to do, or are you going to pay somebody? We kind of did a mix of both. We designed the house, but then I also don't trust my layout skills quite enough to base that on my forever home. So we also hired an architect to take our design and turn it into a set of drafting plans. That helped immensely because now I feel like we're safe. I know that the house that we designed is not going to fall in because that was always a concern, is making sure. I mean, I'm not an architect. I didn't go to architect school. I didn't go to design school. I just know how to work SketchUp really well. Who is going to design the house? You? You're going to pay somebody to do it? Or maybe a mix of both. And the last question that you really want to ask yourself when it comes to, do I want to build a barndominium? Or really any house for that matter, can I actually get financing for this house? For those of you who don't know, getting a loan, a construction loan for a metal barndominium house is actually kind of hard. Not many lenders want to deal with a non-conventional style house. They don't want to deal with the fact that it's made of metal and that's a different siding on the edge, on the sides. It's got a metal roof. It's got metal steel posts instead of a sticked frame house. It's just different. They don't want to deal with it. I actually called somewhere around 25 banks trying to see who could give us a loan, who is going to be the best fit for us. We're in Oklahoma City currently, and we landed on a lender out of Manhattan, Kansas called New Century Bank. And come to find out, they're actually a faith-based bank. I've spoke multiple times directly with our the loan officer there. There's a guy named Tyler. He's a huge K-State fan, which was great this year because Oklahoma State beat K-State. So I got to call him and razz him a little bit, which probably isn't the best idea if you're trying to get a loan from someone to make fun of them. Things you think of after the fact, I guess. But he's a great guy, and they've been great to work with through this whole process, helping us along the way, answering questions that we have. But our first question was, can we get approved for a loan? So we sent taxes, we sent profit and loss statements, we sent all kinds of things over to him so he could look at them and tell us a good idea. And being self-employed, banks don't usually like giving loans to self-employed people as well. That was also another hurdle that we also had to overcome. But working with the people at New Century Bank was actually great. They helped us out immensely in getting everything that we needed to get done. And so through the process of time, giving them the information that they needed, they got back to us and we actually got the amount of money that we needed to do this house build. So that kind of answered our first major questions right at the beginning. And all of these things, they don't necessarily cost any money, especially if you're going to be doing it yourself. The design part, that part may cost some, but hey, there's nothing wrong with getting a napkin out and drawing your dream out on the napkin. In fact, our architect told us she had multiple times had people give her like, this is what we want, and it was drawn on paper. She said she had gotten something drawn on a napkin before. So don't be afraid to start this evaluation phase, to see how much you can afford, to see if it's something that you want to live in for the rest of your life, to see if it's something that fits your family, your work life, the situation that you're currently in. And don't be afraid to call a bank. And I will leave New Century Bank's website down in the link below, because like I said, they've been great to work with, and they have no problem financing metal homes. In fact, they don't care at all. Tyler said directly to me, it's just a house. And so that was a breath of fresh air. So don't be afraid to start this evaluation phase, see if this is something that's right for you. And then in the next video, we're going to get into the meat and the potatoes, which is the budget. I'll give you a little preview here just of what we've made, and it's enough to turn your stomach. So here we started this main planning page, and as you can see, it goes on and on and on and on. We've got multiple quotes from multiple different companies. Like right here, you can see 3 different companies for water wells, 2 options for water softeners, windows. I think we've gotten 5 or 6 bids on windows, multiple things. But it's great to start a document that you can keep track of everything. From there, you can go on to doing more in-depth details. You can do different kind of budgets. You can do details budgets. You can do all kinds of different things. We have door readouts, window readouts, and all of this stuff is definitely for the next video, because I can tell you one thing, this video is already probably too long, and it's just a bunch of me rambling. And you know how you know when you've been rambling too much? Is when the actual camera shuts off and doesn't get the end of anything that you say, and you have to come record it on a separate occasion when you're editing it and realize that you don't have the footage you need. So I hope that video is helpful for those of you that are just at the very earliest stages of building. But if you've liked this video, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the videos that we upload. Also, you guys might say a prayer for Hurley. He had flu B, and now he's got flu A, so we're getting outside, getting a little fresh air. Anyway, we'll see you guys on the next video.